Hello, everybody. I am calling this December 16th, 2024 regular meeting of the Macon RE6 School Board to order. The time is 5:59 p.m. Heather, roll call, please.
Emily Hutchinson Brown,
Here.
Pam Hunter,
Present.
Victor Figueroa,
Present.
Maggie Finale,
Here.
Nicholas Gordon,
Here.
Olivia Jukes, here, Elizabeth Hill, here.
Excellent. I am going to ask, who did the pledge last time? Rosalinda did. Okay. Olivia, I would like to ask if you can lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Just a little note, please turn off your cell phones during the meeting, and if you would like to hold a sidebar conversation, please do so out in the hall. I'm reminding everyone that this is a meeting of the Board of Education in public rather than a meeting with the public. And during this meeting, there is a time for public participation. Comments will be heard regarding specific agenda items and will require anybody to sign up at the start of the meeting, limited to 3 minutes. Heather, do you know if we have anybody? Can you check for me? No. Okay. All righty. So with that, we are going to jump right in. We've got a lot to get done tonight, although I'm pretty sure we're not going to beat our time of last week, which was like 4 minutes, shortest board meeting ever. Just pointing that out. So I need somebody to make a motion, please, to approve the agenda this evening.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Heather, call the question.
Craig Finale,
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Pam Hunter,
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown,
Aye.
Nicholas Gordon.
Aye. Excellent. Motion carries. All right. We are going to start with Mr. Custer. You are joining us this evening. Todd, Mr. Cordray, do you want to say anything before to explain kind of the history of this presentation?
No, I think it's gonna be really
Mr. Custer?
straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just here to present this plaque and award that the school received. It's the Eliza Pickrell Route Award, and it's given to high schools that can get in Colorado that can give to 85% or more of their eligible seniors registered to vote in election years. So myself and Tiffany helped out a lot with it too. We only had 11 or 12 eligible seniors that would be eligible to vote the previous election on November 5th. But we worked on just getting them all registered to vote. I did help put together a presentation on like the history of voting and voting rights in America and why it is so crucial and important to vote. And Todd kind of came to me and asked if I would kind of take over for this election cycle, an initiative to get eligible seniors registered to vote, and I was glad to do so. As a social studies teacher and a member of this campus, I feel like, civic responsibility is something that I hold in high regard. As a teacher, like one of the things I always try and do is get, help prepare the next generation of citizens. And I think one of the best things we do on this campus is, that civic mindedness and civic engagement. And I feel like this award really represents that, especially because we had 100%. We didn't just meet that 85%. We got the full 100%. Again, we had small numbers. It was about 11 or 12 seniors that would be eligible to vote on November 5th. But yeah.
Tremendous. Just for clarity, Eliza Pickrell Route became Colorado's first lady in 1876.
And she was the first woman to register to vote in Colorado.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So the award is in her name,
Yeah.
and 100% of our eligible senior
Yeah.
class registered to vote.
Yeah.
That's pretty tremendous. Well, congratulations for helping make that happen. Pretty significant. We are proud of you.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. We are going to also honor, and just have a little bit of recognition in regard to, the Colorado Association of School Board, conference that we recently attended as a school board, along with, our superintendent, Mr. Cordray, and our student board members. We also had a student strand with additional students attending this year, along with Mr. James Hughes and Miss Sarah Carr as chaperones. And we spent quite a bit of time during our work session, getting feedback from everyone who attended. And, we will be, putting a presentation that they, culminated up on our website. It seems as though they might also be speaking to some of our students during advisory or in other capacities to let them know what they were able to accomplish and what they were able to participate and contribute by attending that conference. So, in recognition of all of you and your time, we would like to present each of you with a certificate of achievement, and recognize you each individually, calling out specific competencies around our portrait of a graduate. We had quite a bit of time with all of these students, in discussing our school's vision and mission, which leads into our portrait of a graduate competencies, which are also just should be and are often highlighted. Thus, Mr. Cordray, if you would help me, Miss Olivia Jukes, we are recognizing you for your strength and a growth mentality. Miss Jukes was able to navigate challenges while leading her fellow students and demonstrated ambition and confidence in her decisions throughout the weekend. We know that she exhibits the ability to be a lifelong learner and a leader. So congratulations. Ms. Phillips, we are recognizing you as a problem solver. Ms. Phillips is curious. She seeks to learn, find the answers, and offers her voice. A young lady who offers a creative and practical mindset to what is presented to her. So we thank you also for your participation. Mr. Adam Martinez, we are going to recognize you for being civic-minded. It is very apparent to us that Mr. Martinez cares deeply when presented with a task or a problem to solve. His care for others and his community is evident. We appreciated your participation while considering many diverse points of view. Mr. Jonah Ritter, we are recognizing for your integrity. Mr. Ritter has consistently demonstrated high-quality work and participation. His values are evident in his choices and his behaviors. More than anything, we recognize that he has the trust and the respect of your peers. And Miss Tyla Henry, last but not least. Team player. Miss Henry collaborates with others without any hesitation and is self-confident, and she stands behind her views. She was able to offer and participate with very helpful, well thought out feedback, and she was excited to do so throughout the weekend. So for each of you, those are the highlights. I think every single board member would agree. We saw all of the competencies demonstrated by each of you. It was very hard for us to just choose and highlight one thing. Many of us voted. It was kind of a majority vote is how we chose you for your individual recognition. But please know that we did see all of that in each of you, and we're very proud of you. You represented Mangus very well in a very large setting, full of peers, full of school board members, principals, and superintendents from across the entire state. And you made us very proud. So with that, we say thank you. And if somebody would take a quick picture for me, and you guys can do that in the hall if possible, of the kiddos and their recognition, along with Mr. Carr or Miss Carr and Mr. Hughes and everybody that came from the student strand. That would be fantastic. Thank you. In the meantime, I'm going to keep things going since Tim will not have being late. And Heather's here, so we're fine. We're good. All right. There's no public participation. So I'm gonna actually turn it over. Sarah, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of a DAC report. That would be fantastic since you're waiting there.
I'm happy to. We had a meeting last week, the District Accountability Committee. And the first thing we talked about was Objective 1A and the report from Audion at being at standard. Everyone in the meeting was in agreement based on the report that it seemed we were at standard. And then it was interesting to note how many hours of volunteer time in the different organizations, the number of organizations that have been involved with the school, with reporting happening in December of this year versus May of last year. Some questions that came out of that portion of our meeting were, is there a way to get students engaging with the community rather than the community coming to the students? Not sure exactly what that would look like. But then we talked about getting businesses to come to the school in a way to engage with the teachers, because it came up during the discussion that all of those connections with community businesses are teacher-led and teacher-driven. And while it's great that they're doing that, there could be more opportunities if we were able to maybe bring the businesses to the teachers in some sort of like job fair kind of event that would maybe happen during one of the staff work days. Or another idea was a directory of businesses that are interested and willing to work and participate with the district that teachers might have access to. We recognized that there's a lot that teachers do and are doing, and we wanted to try and shy away from ideas that would put additional work on the district staff and teachers. So having the board consider if they would have the capacity to bring some sort of job fair event, or just with the connections that you guys already have with businesses, maybe putting a directory together for the teachers for them to access. Then we talked about the district assessment calendar, and let's see, and then the why 95% of parents opt out of the state assessment. So with the MAPS testing that's done 3 times a year in both the elementary and the secondary, the teachers that were present, the staff that were present at the DAC, and myself and some other parents, we appreciate the MAPS testing. It's to see the growth and what we in our kiddos, but then also both principals from the secondary and the elementary indicated that the real value in the MAPS testing comes in the feedback that it provides to the teachers on how they're doing. So we thought that was all good. And then there was some good discussion about CMAS. Currently 95% of district parents opt their children out of the assessment. We don't really have any data as to why parents are opting out, but from the discussion that happened in the room, there were parents who said they opt out because there's enough testing already, and that was also sentiment that was shared by teachers who were also parents of kids in the district. And so it seems to be a cultural thing. I believe James Hughes said that kind of percentage of opting out really is pretty unique for our district, and a lot of other districts in the state don't see that. So the DAC would recommend to the board considering how we might be able to capture reasoning parents have for opting out, and then using that as a way to move forward on whether or not to consider bringing the CMAS back, or if reducing that number from 95%. And then we had these wonderful students who came and talked about their experience on that retreat. And really, the DAC was interested in how the students saw
what it is they learned about the mission and vision of the school and what they learned at that retreat and how they see some of that stuff in the classroom. What is that connection? And they all said it's the PBL projects. It really sets them up. They feel it really sets them up for success, and it also aligns with the mission and vision of the school. And they all had excellent things to say and were very articulate. And so they'd like, maybe some more opportunities, like the retreat and attending the DAC meetings, and then figuring out ways to share that information with their peers. They're having one-on-one conversations with their peers about it. But something maybe like a career talk, and then they mentioned a student workshop that school board was doing that they were really intrigued by. And I believe I heard Mr. Hughes say another teacher was also interested. So yeah, we'll see what comes of that. And so it was just it was really nice to hear from the students and to see that the board and the district administration is willing to listen to what the students have to say about their education and to participate. And then we're leaving open a few minutes at the end of every meeting to talk about future topics that should be discussed. And the big one that came out of this meeting was teacher retention, and what we might be able to do to support teachers who are struggling. And that's gonna be part of the Mancus Wellness System. So we'll be sure to get that on the agenda. And then also teacher appreciation and support. That happens through the PTA, and unfortunately our PTA is not very strong at the moment. So maybe we can try and boost the PTA and get some more support from the community to really show the appreciation for our teachers, because I know we all appreciate the teachers and all the hard work that they do, and we're very lucky for the ones that we have here in the district. I think that pretty much captures most of it.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks very much for that report.
You're very welcome.
I will just clarify a couple of different things we did. We were able to receive some of your feedback directly as well from Ms. Farrar, and discussed how we would be able to share that out appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You guys could go. Thank you. We appreciate you all being
Yes,
here.
thank you so
Off to the
much.
football banquet and the other activities, and thank you, Tyler.
Okay.
You don't have to go to that.
I was like.
Next application to go to as the for next year is.
We'll let you know. It'll probably be around the same, I think, timeframe. So we will let you know. Thank you, guys. Anyway, to circle back, we were, all mindful of your feedback and, did speak with Mr. Cordray, Mr. Hughes, and Ms. Farrar around how do we get that into the appropriate channel? So that the work that is suggested and to be done can be done appropriately from the school
Mm-hmm.
up, right? It has to be lifted up from the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was heard and has been shared. I echo your sentiments around PTA. It's a struggle. And it's such a great, tremendous group. I think that, if we could encourage anybody who would want to participate, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
It typically starts out at an elementary level.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is that as kids get older, those participations transfer into DAC, Booster Club, and other things. So, it's
And
definitely a need.
right now, I think we've got just maybe 2 or 3 parents from the elementary and the
Keeping
rest
it
of
alive.
staff. And
Yeah.
yeah, hanging on by a thread, it feels like, in a
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
Luckily, the readathon,
Mhm.
did well for us. So
Yeah.
hopefully, and I did a little write-up trying to help recruit some additional people to attend the DAC that went out in the Make Us Matters
Mhm.
newsletter. but didn't turn up any new faces.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's the right avenue for recruiting new members to either of those organizations, so.
It seems like we've had this discussion a lot, and it's usually always a personal invitation or ask from one person to another, whether that be a board member, a parent, a teacher, an admin. And it's just, I think it's just part of a small district, is that you end up with a very small select group of people that end up showing up over and over, so.
Yeah.
Here we are.
And we also know there's lots of people in our community who are
course.
working hard to just get through
To
each and every day.
contribute.
And, it can be hard to make the additional ask or additional time, so
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
recognize that too, so.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you for your time, and we thank you
You're
for
welcome.
coming and letting us know how everything went and supporting our amazing students and listening to them. And I love the PBL commentary and
And they all, each one of them said it and
That's
had
great.
different ways of connecting the PBL to the mission and the vision and what they take away from it. And so, I'd just like to say I was super pleased to hear that. And I think it shows that the district as a whole is going in the right direction pursuing.
and there's your student voice, which even 2 years ago, we would not have had that opportunity. So I think we're trying very hard to keep that at the table. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
Sarah.
you for all that you
See you
did.
soon. Okay, moving on. Let's see. All right, so we are going to move into, Mr. Figueroa, you have both the LRC and a CASB, briefing.
Yes.
And we're gonna talk about CASB conference also again, so.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna talk about the CASB
Okay.
conference, I think that we, hit on that. So I'm gonna skip that, but only just say that CASB's conference was great for the adults and for the kids, and it was great to, go again this year, so. On, the LRC, which again, I wanna make sure everybody knows, it's the Legislative Resolution Committee. This is also a committee that basically is trying to influence our legislators in being able to support bills that come across for public education, for rural alliance, and small rural districts. We met this Thursday. I just wanna highlight a couple of areas that will be looked at in the coming year. That starts basically, our legislators will come back to work in January on different bills. But one of the things I wanna kind of point out that we talked about was, there's a study of the Colorado accountability system. And just so everyone is on the same page, the accountability system is the system that we're opting out of right now. But it's, they're looking at a more meaningful way to assess districts and how they're doing. And that report's out. Are you guys interested in getting that report, or have you received the report already?
I have not, and I would love to receive it.
Okay.
I think it also leads back into
The whole conversation.
the whole conversation around, what she just brought up from DAC
Right.
with the 95%.
Right.
Todd, the group, helped me with the acronym. To be able to, that's looking at structuring our reporting outside of the
SCAP.
SCAP. So SCAP, which we talked about briefly, is a sideline to that.
Sure.
So I would love to see the report.
Okay, I'll send it to everyone. And it's a long report, but if you look at the summary does a nice job and of summarizing what the report's really focused around. It's a real general report right now. The pudding, the proof's in the pudding, in the sense of what are they gonna take from that? But the next step basically is they're gonna try to create some, concrete steps around this study that they did. And the study, again, just so everyone knows, is that they've sent out surveys, they studied districts, their population, their, whether they're rural or city, districts that try to get information as it relates to different needs. And the report reflects that. So, so I will send that to you.
That'd be great.
The next thing I wanted you guys to be aware of is, when our legislators come back at the session in January, they're gonna be looking at the governor's budget proposal. And, it's something I wanna just keep an eye on, because in that proposal, you know, he has the pupil count averaging, proposal. And, although that may not affect us, tremendously, it affects many districts that are a little bigger than us, or much bigger than us. So CASB has sent a letter. I think superintendents also, their organization has sent a letter to the governor, asking him to not use this averaging as a way to save money in the budget. So they just generally, they don't believe that will stay in the governor's proposal. In other words, if the governor keeps it in there, they don't see the legislators agreeing with it. But we'll see when the time comes. The other thing I want you to just be aware of, there's a couple of proposals right now, but what will come back again is there's going to be some information around Quora. I learned something in this meeting that basically said, you know, people that are looking at trying to revise Quora basically are trying to make it more transparent, more like the way we're expected to run our board meetings, to be transparent within the context of what is who's asking for information. So what I learned was somebody could ask for information and never put their real name. They're not required to. They said they've gotten proposals where they've had individuals say, this is Jane Doe, and not put their real name and ask for information. So they want to change that kind of stuff and clean it up so that it's transparent who's asking for it, and a little bit more information about why they're asking for it. So, you know, there'll be information, there'll be bill around that. They also will be a bill around para. Para has its own board, but they don't run under the same rules as a board of education, as far as what they need to put out to the public, getting feedback from the public before they make decisions. And so they want to change that and basically say to them, you need to be transparent and you need to ask for feedback from your members or from the public around decisions that you're making. There'll be a bill around social media and cell phones. They realize that a lot of districts have put policies in place, and that, you know, it's effective for a lot of small and big districts. They're getting that kind of feedback, but you will see probably some bills around social media and cell phone usage in our schools. CDE, competitive grants. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that. Yeah, so those are the things that are possible bills that'll be coming up. And so I'll stop there, and as bills come forward, are people interested in the bill tracker again? Do you want that sent to you?
I love the bill tracker. I think it's good practice just for all of us to be able to see it. I don't know that everybody dives into it,
Yeah.
but I think that sharing it is
And I'll
not
send that as
a
well.
negative.
Yeah, okay, and that's my report.
Thank you. Excellent. And we are going to wait since we're all discussing CASB together. All right, so with that being said, Mr. Cordray, I'm gonna jump right into, you've got quite a bit on your list this evening to report out, so it's all in your court.
Thank you. A lot of light stuff, just good informational information to share is, so the cheer team went to states and they were 5th in state, which is exceptional for, you know, this is a young team We've only been doing it a few years and we're doing extremely well with it. And it's a team for us to be very, very proud of. Coach Dave's also received an impact award as part of the competition they recently had in Denver. And then our after-school programming, this is just an update with the after-school programming. We do that through a nonprofit called SCYC and a grant that we get, which is the 21st Century Grant. So far, we're averaging this year 96 students participate in after-school programming. And we've had 288 unique students participate so far this year. This is about a 25 to 30% increase from last year, which was already some really exceptional numbers. And then we've collected information from 102 family members. So this program is going really well. We're in our third or fourth year of this 21st Century Grant through SCYC, and all is going really well with it. I wanted to invite the Board of Education to come and sing along with the joyful voices of our youth from kindergarten through third grade tomorrow night at 6:30 in the PC. And then also tonight, we have our first graders.
Right now, right?
Yes, right as we speak. They're recording their letters to Santa show at Mancus KSJD. So that'll be recorded, and that's always something that we do out of Miss Russell's class as she's a DJ there. Another strong celebration we have is the Knowledge Bowl that we hosted on December 2nd. Was a very big success. We had something in the neighborhood of 24 teams. We had just tons of people here for the competition. Miss Eschelaar puts that on. She's our lead for the Knowledge Bowl. And she reported that we had 18 volunteers and that our teams did really well in the Knowledge Bowl competition. The next Knowledge Bowl competition is January 13th in Dolores. And then I'd just like to report to the Board of Education that the launch for the SRO program will happen with staff on January 6th on our PD day when staff comes back at about 8:30 in the morning. Mr. Custer and Deputy Minor will roll out the program to staff and explain, in a good amount of detail, how that will work. We recently, last week, had 2 staff members go to a 3-day student application training for the U.S. Naval Academy. That was Miss Aspermonte and Miss Vogel. At that training, they were also able to connect with one of our graduates who's a junior at the Naval Academy Honor Center. And it's the hope. The reason we sent the staff to it is so that we can learn to be even more proficient on getting students to the academies. So they reported that it was an excellent opportunity and an excellent training. And then I just want to remind the board to watch the school newsletters for more events. And that after the break, students will be coming back on Tuesday, January 7th. And staff will be coming back on Monday, January 6th for a full day professional development day. And then in a report for Mrs. Miller, our business manager, we certified our mill levy at the last special meeting. Our property is valued in excess of $56 million, which the school district owns. The school district also approved 27 mills. 19 of those are general obligation. 1 is a mill levy override, and 7 of those are bond mills for a total of 27 mills. Are there any questions about my reports?
I have none. Anybody else?
I'm just impressed, but we put a lot of kids into the different military academies over the years, and I'm just so proud of all those kids. It's been big.
That's huge.
I mean, all the Air Force, Navy, all of them.
Yeah, the more we can do of that, the better.
Tremendous. Okay. Next up on our discussion items is the discussion around the CASB conference from a board perception. Those kiddos had another banquet to attend earlier, so I was pretty quick in recognizing their efforts, but we did have a chance to spend a half an hour or more with them and their chaperones earlier. But from a board perspective, curious to hear from you all, what we took away from it and what, what we'd like to, do we want to continue this next year? Do we want to continue it in the same way? And then also ask if each of you put your survey back to Kathy. I did mine today, and I encourage us all to do that. It's the only way to make it better. So we'll start with you, Rachel. Do you have anything to offer about CASB specifically?
This being my second time to CASB, I got a lot more out of it. This go around last year, I felt like I need to take all the newbie things. So this year I felt a little more free to take a little more interesting, of the courses. The main thing I really, was interested in is a lot of the AI discussions and where, we need to go as a board to really help lead the school, to lead the students. In AI, that is gonna be, it's our future technology, it's where everything's going, our students need to be prepared for this. It's really gonna help our teachers and our administrators, in their workload, and we just need to know how to do it responsibly, and we need to know how to do it, ethically. And I really think it's gonna come up over and over, we're gonna need to start thinking about some policy for it. But we really need to get it into the classrooms. So that was probably one of my favorite, of the areas that was discussed was around AI.
That's a great way to lift up a very strong thread that has appeared now for 2 to 3 years in a row and just continues to, I think at first everybody was really afraid of it. And now I think people are starting to embrace it. At least that's the messaging I hear, even from our own staff. They're all trying to figure out how to use it appropriately with fidelity and are using it even in a way that they're able to understand if students are using it, which gives me a lot of comfort, right? So, Mr. Cordray, can you offer anything around that?
Well, we're going through a lot of evaluation right now to see how we would roll that out, set up the guardrails for the student handbook. And then that will also then be lifted up to the governance role of what it looks like for board policy. But AI is a productivity enhancer. It definitely generates, it really helps students and workers become more productive. And it's in our society, it's part of our society, and I think it can even be used to help accelerate learning. So I'm very optimistic about it, and I want to have it incorporated in our system as perhaps even an elective class for the secondary students, so that they could learn how to operate this new technology well, while also staying within the appropriate ethical guardrails that we will have established along the way, because it is a productivity advancer for sure.
I love that. I noticed through my alma mater, Arizona State, they're starting to offer post-bac certifications and trainings specifically around AI because it is so prevalent and we're all using it, but we can all be better and we can all understand.
Yeah, our students, if our students, when they graduate, aren't productive with that tool, they will be behind other students who are, and that will make a difference in their schooling and in their careers.
It's all about using the power for good,
Mm-hmm.
right? Victor, what did you want to lift anything up from CASB specifically as board members attended, or?
There were a couple of things, but I'll just take one thing, I guess. I really liked our final, guest speaker, Alex Boyer. I will only speak about the fact that he was really talking about the mental health of everybody, including our students and adults and board members and administrators and everybody, and just, reaching out and trying to, get to know them more, and that's one thing that this conference does, is it gives us some time to get to know each other more on a personal basis. As we're all busy and we all, you know, have our lives and stuff, so when we get together here. We rarely get a chance to get together just socially because we can't necessarily according to the rules, so, you know, I will just emphasize two things. Alex really talked about, just, you know, supporting your fellow colleagues, supporting students, making sure you have things in place that, can, support staff. Of course, your district, or sometimes it's just about personal. You know, you have friends at home, or you have family members that are struggling or having a hard time. You know, you can put out some information about how to, access some resources if you need some help. And that, I just thought his presentation was full of energy, full of positivity, and, he made some great points. So I just want to emphasize that. And then the second part was really about our time together, our time with the kids, our time. This is, I think, this is the third year that I've done this now, right?
So four.
The fourth?
Yeah.
What we did last year.
We're in our last
Okay.
year.
So this is the
The
fourth
first year's a
year.
blur, because you're
Yeah.
like, what is this? That's why Rachel
Well,
said, this year I knew what I was doing.
I know the first year, we didn't have any students.
No, we did not. The first
So,
2 years.
so the students make it a special deal. And I just love to have them. I love the interaction that we had. I love the time that we spent together, and, it was fantastic, and we'll continue to encourage that kind of process. And if there's a way to, expose more students to it, that's great.
I agree. Excellent. Mr. Hunter.
Again, it was actually a pretty productive CASB sessions. I went to a couple of breakouts that, you know, were quite informative, a couple that were just general. I enjoyed the speakers. The second day, he, was pretty good. I mean, he's put some stuff out there, you know, working for your strengths and not trying to improve your weaknesses. It was actually kind of hit home to me on several levels.
Yeah, I loved him too. That was Mr. Coy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the breakout sessions I went to is how, big things get done. And we are actually, the guys that presented that are coming into our district and doing an assessment of our facilities here in the near future. So it's good to talk with them about that. And then even in the vendors that were there, got a couple of people that have been emailing me since we had cards to pass out. They've been emailing me about, you know, our future building deals, some of the stuff about our social emotional learning and trying to make bridges across to like Memphis United and some other groups. So it was very productive for me. And it was fun.
The Memphis United piece, I thought it was interesting that I think several of us had people asking us about that again. And we presented on it last year.
And
So
last year.
it might be something we want to think about for next year again.
And I've talked to Katie about that already, especially given the data that we have that shows that these kids that have come through the summer hub, even though the summer hub is not educational based, they're showing improvement when they get it back into school, and there's data to show it. And it's a really interesting thing. And I think we do need to get her, and she had also asked me if she paid her way last time and was hoping that the school could help sponsor this next time around if you do that.
Well, I think that that's a possibility, involving the kids if we can in some presentation. I noticed that, you know, Durango's really good about making them, the kids be sit at the table, and they presented on a couple different things. And then we talked about our portrait of the school district, and I did not yet see anything like it at Casby.
No,
So,
I went to there's not, and I
There's
went to a
not.
couple of the governance sessions which to me, that was the stuff that it wasn't a waste of time, but we are so far ahead of a lot of the stuff they were
We
talking
are.
about. With our strat plan and our portrait of the district, portrait of the graduate, we are leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of schools. There's some that are there, but we're ahead of the majority of the schools out there.
couldn't agree with you more. That becomes more and more clear the more years that I go, is I always walk away feeling like, gosh, we're doing really well. We're doing our jobs, right? And our students are doing really well, and they're doing their work, so, and Mr. Cordray and the staff as a whole, so always nice to hear. Mr. Benelli.
Well, the sessions I attended would be focused around wellness efforts, mental health. I did attend an AI presentation as well. One of the takeaways that I got was some stuff that we've already talked about, and that we are doing things really well. When it comes to wellness, questions and discussions about SEL, it was stuff that we are actively incorporating, and there were a lot of things that were next steps for some of the districts that we're already doing, that we've already implemented over the years. And I thought that was very, very important to see, and it was a very refreshing look back on our district, and all the work that's being done. One of the sessions, one of the keynote speakers talked about caring more, and that hit me pretty hard, because I think our community, and especially our district and our staff, they care more, and that's what makes everything work for us. Because all the things that were being presented about these other schools about wellness and all that, they had funding, they had large amounts of money they could throw at their problem. We don't have that. All we have is our caring, and I think that's something that is really amazing. And it was even showed through at our board retreat with the students, that we made sure that they understood that they were equal in the room at that time, and that their viewpoints are important. And that's why we do these things that we do, is work that down with the students. And so I think it's just that from there it was, yes, we do need to get Lincoln United back up there, and do our own horn, but we also need to actively recognize each other, staff, students, everyone, just for what they do. It's just being more proactive with it. I just getting to see the board entity in a different way, being in such my second time at Casby as well. And
Makes more sense.
makes more sense, there's a lot more clarity.
To piggyback on, one other place where that was pretty evident, I attended the session with St. Vrain around their academy that is very PBL driven and, pathway driven. And they are operating with funding from companies like Apple and Microsoft and, significant money. And I was surprised at how many people in that particular session from other districts had zero idea how even to get off the ground with pathways. And so I commend you, Mr. Cordray, because you were able to get us off the ground pretty quickly on pathways. And we're still offering pathways. They may have to shift occasionally due to teacher availability. However, we're still able to bring them, whereas many districts were not able to get past how to even start and how to find that expertise in the teaching factor and how to put pathways in place. And so sitting in that room with much larger districts, and even smaller districts, we're well ahead of that curve. And the evidence for pathways being successful, St. Vrain had, demonstrated to the nth degree, obviously with their reporting capabilities and their, materials and so forth. And so again, that's another place where, you know, it's almost as though we should come together to CASB with something along the lines of, we may be small, but we're mighty, right? Because there's many things that we do well, not just one or two. I could pick out 6. And that to me is impressive in and of itself. Could we somehow demonstrate that other districts, even if they are small and they don't have funding and they may not have, what they think they need to be successful in some of these avenues, we're proving that that actually can happen. And you said care, communities that care, families that care, teachers and admin and board members and all of those that care. It really takes the community as a whole to participate in order to make it happen. So that's just something to maybe make a set aside and talk about for next year. It sounds like a cheer. We just went to state, but we are small but mighty, right? I should have the cheer team come up with a cheer. It's so evident. It's so obvious. So, Mr. Cordray, I'm gonna ask you if you have anything else to add to CASB, and then I'm gonna come over to our students.
Sure, the only thing I'd really like to add is I'd just like to add on to what Craig said. I mean, caring is, the fact that we have such a diligent staff and we have such a diligent board, you know, we're able to get more done. And, you know, an example of that is CASB, where the board members, you know, every day was a 12-hour day.
12 plus.
Yeah, 12 plus. That shows a level of professionalism, a level of diligence, a level of grit that really helps make us continue to stay on the trajectory of continuous improvement. Because we know as a school district, we value continuous improvement, and we know we always have room for growth. And that growth happens through our hard work. So we are so fortunate to have the staff we have, and we're fortunate to have the board that we have, because it allows us to get better every day.
Could not agree more. Although I do have a note also to maybe have one day that might not be a 14-hour day. I was really tired.
They're long days.
Long days. It's a lot of travel. Okay, Liv, I'm gonna ask you from a board member perspective, and I know you attended Student Strand, but you were able to attend a board retreat and spend a lot of time with your fellow board members. You can comment either way, whether it be Student Strand or board. What were you surprised about with CASB, and what did you take away from it?
Honestly, like you were saying a lot, how we do stuff really well, like compared to other schools. Like in the groups I was with in the Student Strand, a lot of the stuff I was talking about was just stuff that they had heard of or were partially doing. And then they're like, wow, that's cool that you guys have actually got that figured out.
Like student board seats?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a pretty big topic, and one of the ones that stood out to me was the 4-day school week.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are still 5 days, and they found it really cool that we were able to do that. And like, it was honestly just a really cool experience to be able to sit kind of at the retreat and get to know more.
And meet other kids and other
Yeah.
people. Excellent. Did you have a favorite speaker? Or were they all good? Or you only saw the one on the last day, right?
Yeah.
And then you were broken off into groups, that's right. And so, the speaker you saw was, Alex Boyer?
Yeah.
That's right, that's good.
It was really cool. Like his whole presentation of everything was really cool because he made it so engaging for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like he had his whole songs, like he had them lined up. He was being interactive with the students, and
He was like in your audience, right? He was.
yeah, he was constantly in the audience,
That's
just
great.
getting everyone involved and like
specifically making it known that he does care.
Yeah. Belinda, same question.
I was really surprised with the amount of professionalism that was there. Like, I didn't expect students to actually have such a discourse conversation with students around them, especially people who they don't even know and barely met. I thought it was really cool how engaging everything was, because like, we did this activity where we took parts of playing a parent, a school board member, etc. And we kind of got to like act those out in our own like way. And it was really cool to see students come up with solutions to specific problems and stuff like that, and working together as a team. And it was just really great. I really liked it. And a key takeaway was probably the confidence I got and gained from it, and like learning how to be uncomfortable in discourse communities. It was really eye-opening for me. So that's.
Well, we were certainly grateful that you all could attend, and not just attend, but participate in a much more meaningful way. So hearing all of the students tonight talk about the camaraderie, the confidence, the bonds that you all formed, and the fact that you're able to speak to your peers and relay that is pretty tremendous. And so we thank you for participating actively and representing Mika so well. And same for all the other students that attended. It was pretty tremendous. I'm very excited to be a part of that one days. I would echo many of the sentiments already. I think that, you know, we have some work to do going into next year. It's certainly a budget consideration. We're very mindful of that. This year we took a lot of things off Broadmoor property, trying to be mindful of that so we could bring three more student voices. And I know we've all given feedback to CASB. If you guys haven't done your follow-up surveys, do them. I gave feedback even in regard to chaperone feedback and student feedback. I rolled it all into one. And so I would encourage you guys to do that. Okay, we are also, any other commentary on CASB, or can we move on? Okay, so we are going to, one of the activities we did while we were at CASB is the board retreat consisted of the board self-evaluation. Not only were we working, we also self-evaluated. And we did this in a much more formal way, which is in written form now, and will be posted on our website, which is probably the first time in many years that it's been posted in written form, would you say?
Yep.
Okay, so Mr. Hunter, you're going to present that. If you would do the honors, please.
So our board self-evaluation, we went through basically 23 categories of questions. Most of them we have done pretty well with. Policy manual is in place. We hold regular meetings. We annually evaluate the superintendent, utilize CASB. We have all our mandated committees are in place, all of our legal committees. And we're engaging with the public during public participation daily encounters. That would leave us as partially effective, and we were very successful in those. In the effective category, our policies are up to date, generally speaking. We still have policies to review because policies are continually changing from the state, but we're generally up to date. And we do reference those in our board decisions and correspondence. And all of our board members know how to access policies and do so. We'd have a strategic plan in place, which is a very important thing. And we hold retreats annually, and we oversee the achievement, safety, and budget in the plan. And we have regular communication with the public. And that puts us into the category of effective. And on our self-evaluation, we are close to being highly effective. Those board meetings, agendas, and prep align with policy. Policies are transparent and online. They're all online and to be done in a PDF format. The classroom to boardroom is generally aligned. That's one where we still have to do a little bit of work, but we're generally aligned. The board guides the district through our one employee, and we're all on board with that. Our self-evaluation is aligned with our strategic plan, which is the first time that's happened in my 20 years of being on the board. We have maintained a yearly board calendar, which is very convenient, very handy compared to years past. We are in the process of establishing a strategic listening system for both internal and public input. And we advocate at the state and through our CASB and through Mr. Figueroa. And the board invests time and money into board learning and staff continuing education. So we are basically more than effective, just shy of highly effective as far as our own self-evaluation in those 23 categories. And you want me to read the? So this letter is published on the website, and this is to our school district and community. As elected stewards of our district, the Memphis School Board is dedicated to fostering a culture of continuous improvement, collaboration, and accountability. Our annual self-evaluation is a critical tool in ensuring that we remain aligned with the values and goals of our strategic plan and our mission statement. And our mission statement is, in partnership with our community, we will foster a safe, positive, and rigorous learning experience. This self-evaluation process goes beyond merely assessing our performance. It serves as a roadmap for growth and an opportunity to reflect on how we can better serve our students, staff, and community. By evaluating ourselves, we hold ourselves accountable to the high standards we set for our district and ensure that our governance practices continually evolve to meet the needs of those that we serve. We have 4 key objectives to the self-evaluation, which includes assessing effectiveness. Each board member completes a detailed evaluation to measure our collective and individual effectiveness in fulfilling our roles and responsibilities. That's what those 23 categories I just went over. We have transparency. The results of this evaluation are analyzed and shared with staff and the community, reinforcing our commitment to open and transparency in our governance. We are identifying growth areas. The evaluation highlights areas of strengths and identifies opportunity for focused improvement to ensure that our board remains a driving force for positive change within the district. In enhancing our best practices using the insights gained from this evaluation, we make data-driven decisions to refine our practices and strengthen our commitment to the district's missions and goals. The 2024-25 school year self-evaluation findings reflect our achievements and the challenges we must address to continue fostering a thriving educational environment. We thank you, our school community, for your ongoing support and engagement, which are vital to our success. Together, we will continue striving to provide safe, positive, and rigorous learning experiences for all of our students.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm pretty proud of the fact that we actually not just self-evaluated and spent the time to do that, but we put something together to evidence it. I think that everyone should be approaching an evaluation as though we always have something to learn, and being lifelong learners. None of us ever graduate and then stop learning. We are always learning, and we can always learn how to improve something, some process, some action that we are all doing. And so we had a very frank conversation around that. And we do have some things that we are understanding that we want to put into place. And there's been a lot put into place, even just this school year, with many things that we have started to do on a regular basis. So I'm proud of all of us. I think that we're doing good work. Mr. Cordray pointed that out earlier. And we hope to continue to do so. There's a couple of other things we want to discuss. One of those things is we do have a linkage plan in place. And it's looking as though the groups that we will be going out to this year, we've started with some. Mr. Hunter is going to report on his linkage with Memphis Valley Resources here shortly. And we'll eventually also touch base with the chamber. Mr. Benally will touch base and report back on Memphis United. Mr. Figueroa with the Memphis Town Board, along with Ms. Jukes, as I believe you are a student voice there, which is tremendous, serving on 2 boards while in school. And I will be touching base with the Mancos Public Library. And Mr. Figueroa will lead the charge with a student panel and student voice, and you both will be helping with that as well. So we have a lot of touch points now that we never had before. Two things that we are hoping to accomplish will be our alumni. And there's a lot of heavy lifting to do there. I know that Ms. McWhirter and your whole family, your mom, your dad, your sister, you guys have all been actively involved with alumni. We are hoping to inject a little bit more life and a little bit more follow-up with school participation in tracking our alumni. I'm an alumni. Many people that are associated with Mancos are either alumni or married to an alumni, or there's just so much to be found out. You know, Mr. Hunter, you brought up earlier, all of those kids that have gone on to join academies and Air Force, Navy. There's just so much yet to be understood. So we're starting that process. It will probably take some time, and it will take public participation. So more to come on that. We also will be inviting our out-of-district families, which is approximately 28% of our students are from families that live outside of the Mancos School District. We're going to be doing something specific to invite all families, but specifically those families, to the PBL exhibition in April, so that we will be available to have conversation with them, if at all possible. So we will also be presenting and reporting on an objective around the linkage in January. It will likely be a historical report with a look into the future. And so that is more to follow. Mr. Hunter, will you kick us off with the first report though, around the linkage between our school and Mancos Valley Resources?
So I had a meeting this last week with Mancos Valley Resources and started out, you know, showing off our strategic plan and the overreaching themes and the 4 specific domains of our strategic plan. Went over those briefly. Went on to show our diagram of portrait of a graduate and talked about what a portrait of a graduate means and some of the definitions that go along with that. And then went into the portrait of a district. Again, the pyramid diagram that we have, went over that a bit with them. We talked about project-based learning and how that's working with our students and the improvements in growth and achievement that we're seeing through our PBL. Then I talked about our pathways programs, and they were very interested in pathways, and we'll probably get some of our 19 projects under Mancos Valley Resources, and some of those will probably be reaching out to see if we can get some student involvement in some of those. And then I went over, the fact that we are a school of innovation and what that means for our district to be outside of that testing stuff and things with the state, where we can have some freedoms to do these basic things like the pathways and the PBL stuff. So those were the things we discussed. They were very attentive, and I think it went very well.
Do you find, or would you have any recommendations? Because I know all of us are poised to go out and do our own. And we specifically talked about not wanting to do a PowerPoint, right?
Right.
We've done that. So what do you feel like because they're kind of the first bigger group, what was the most engaging that you felt they were touching on and asking about and wanted to know more?
Project-based learning and the pathways program.
PBL and pathways, okay.
The strategic plan, going over that, it's like, yeah, okay, that's great, you have a plan.
And it's a really thick one.
and I hit the highlights of what the domains of our strategic plan are. But then try to tie it back into what we're doing to increase growth and achievement with the students, which comes back to the portrait of a graduate, PBL, and the pathways. So they're much more interested in that kind of thing.
Interesting. Did you talk about student voice Like the students at the board table?
Mentioned that we had had sort of added students into our board.
Mhm.
And, it was a kind of a passing comment,
But 19 projects and possible student participation was
Right,
talked about.
right, it was.
Which is good.
When we started talking about pathways, and they were very interested in
Mhm.
engaging with that.
Interesting. So what's interesting to me is there's a lot of crossover here with what we found at CASB that we're doing ahead of the curve, that we're doing well. So I wonder if there's something to be said about that kind of small but mighty comment that I made earlier, portrait of a district, portrait of a group, like, here we are as a package, right? These are the things that we have seen being repeated. Maybe there's something around that. I still don't want to put PowerPoint together this year, but.
No, I don't think we need the PowerPoint,
Not this
I
year.
think that. Because if you talk about things, I hate people that do PowerPoints and read their PowerPoint to people. Because I know how to read.
Yeah,
And I just, that it's great to have notes available like a PowerPoint, but you need to speak, speak from what you know.
right.
And, use the references, like I say, I had the strat plan with the highlights and
Mhm.
things. And so.
So the conversation was valuable.
Right.
Okay. Anybody have any questions from Mr. Hunter or comments? Any thoughts?
Great.
Cool. Okay, I am quickly gonna, just provide the community, the public an update. We are in the middle of, and also give you all a reminder, as you have a due date. We are in the middle of the, evaluation for our superintendent, Mr. Cordray. So far, we have received his self-evaluation, and it is now in each of your hands for you all to provide your individual evaluations back over to Mr. Hunter and myself. We are the two board members that are going to be compiling together the, master evaluation, for Mr. Cordray. That, annual evaluation is presented to, the superintendent every January. And so we are hopeful that in January, we can present that evaluation back to the community. And furthermore, it is typical that after we do that, we will put that on our website. Previous years of evaluations have been there. And I'll remind you, it's funny, I just did my own staff evaluations last week. So I will remind you that it is a stressful process for someone to sit down, and even whether you're self-evaluating or you're evaluating an employee, it is one of the main critical components of a Board of Education is to evaluate and hold accountable their one employee, which is the superintendent of the district. So we, as a group, take this very seriously and look to present a combined evaluation that we can discuss more robustly at our January meeting. I am also going to take the liberty at this point in time since we are talking about our January meeting and I don't want to miss it. Right now, our January meeting is scheduled for January 20th, which is a holiday and nobody is at school that day. So I would like to ask if we can move our meeting to January 27th, which would be the following Monday. Does anybody have any opposition to January 27th, Monday? Good? Good. Ladies, you'll be back in school by then. That's a Monday you'll be in school. You will not be in school on the 20th. I don't think you want to come in for a meeting. Mr. Benally, you have with that?
It's inauguration day also.
Oh, perfect time for a board meeting. So, okay, I think. You'll let me know, Victor.
Did you say the 27th?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so Heather, if you can make a note we'll want to adjust the website and all the good things that will be moving that meeting to the 27th. And so that is likely our presentation of superintendent evaluation.
So we'll
Keep our first work session,
Work
which
session.
will be on like the 13th, yeah. So 13th for the work session, and then on the 20th, we will do a second work session, which likely will largely be around strat plan objective, superintendent evaluations. Okay. Speaking of strategic and objective or, objectives, we are looking at, objective 1A this evening, which is the Mancos School District connects students with local professionals, businesses, and organizations. We spent quite a bit of time at our work session earlier reviewing this and, discussing the recommended, acceptance and at which standard. So if everyone is in agreement, I will need a motion in order to move this along.
I move that we accept, strat plan objective 1A at standard.
Second.
First and a second, Heather, please call the question.
Craig Manley,
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown,
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And that will be also posted on our website. It looks like we are up to the majority of our consent motion items. If, you all want to take a quick minute to look at those A through E.
Can we do the capital reserve on that? Those resolutions, or do we have to have those up separate?
We have to,
Those can be read, I can read those into a motion to do it under consent if you would like to do that.
yeah, I think we can because they're very short.
Yeah.
They're in that,
I've got them right here.
okay, you got it. Good. I was gonna say they're printed over there.
Oh, I got it. Hand me the printed copy, because I have to change my,
Right, it's
my
the-
my
the
Google
folder right
address to do that.
They're right there.
And it goes to my default, the Google Docs.
There we are, those two.
Okay, so I move that we adopt the following resolution according to Colorado State Statute 2245-103. In order to improve the ventilation of the welding shop, the Board of Education hereby authorizes a fiscal year 25 capital reserve expenditure of $46,733.20 to GARS Incorporated for material and labor. And then I also move, there it is, that we adopt the following resolution according to Colorado Statute 2245-103. In order to replace the section of the middle school roof above the PBO room and teacher workroom, the Board of Education hereby authorizes a fiscal year 25 capital reserve expenditure of $36,420 to higher ground roofing for materials and labor. And I would continue that motion to approve the rest of the agenda action items A, B, and C within that consent.
Do we have a second? Perfect. Heather, call the question.
Craig Manley,
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter.
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown,
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
Excellent, motion carries. All right, we are moving right along. Future agenda items, just to call it out. Next month, as discussed, we will be further speaking and presenting on 1C, which is the objective around linkage. We will be discussing the superintendent evaluation as well. We do have an update on housing. And we, during our work session, will likely get a mid-year update in regard to policy JICJ. It's not lost on me that we always have policy work to do, but we will likely be doing some policy work, and we should probably start taking a look at some of the AI policy as well, just to be ahead of where that goes. So I will try to bring that to light. Is there anything else that was not covered this evening before I roll into our wrap-up questions? Anything? No? All right, so did anybody learn anything new tonight? I did. I learned that when you put 5 kids together who don't normally socialize inside the school, and you take them outside of the school and you force them to socialize together, they come back and they act like they know each other and like each other. And they say hi to you. It's great. It was like the first thing that happened to me today walking in the school. I was so pleased. That was pretty tremendous. All right, how about, was anybody surprised by anything during the meeting tonight at all? Any surprises or shock value? No? Oh,
Not surprised.
Were you able to communicate and be understood on all topics this evening? Anybody feel as though they have something else?
I really feel like everybody heard and had, you know, a real listening. I think it's pretty good, especially, you know, early on, we had all of our students and more of our staff here. It was great.
It's not easy to
People
do.
felt heard and I felt heard and what we talked about, you know, that's a good feeling.
Excellent. Did the board cross into operations during the meeting? If so. Okay, I will bring up, there was a little bit of potential cross through district accountability. And that I think is really a good learning opportunity, Mr. Cordray, so I would challenge you to take that back to them. And I say that because your district accountability committee oftentimes will fuel or funnel to your board at some point in time, right? And they are doing that work in terms of accountability. But I think an understanding of the how to communicate some of that feedback would be helpful to them. Because it was heard by me very clearly that they had a couple of board directives, like we would like the board to consider putting together a list of businesses or a business fair. Whereas really that's not our purview. It's not something we can do. Since you are our one employee, it is really operational. And so I would bring that to light, that will help all of us work together better if we could fuel that feedback into the right avenues. Because it will not be included on a strategic plan report. It's not a report out, it's a suggestion and a presentation back inside the district. So that is one place I will say that we kind of got there. But I thought we did a really good job because we noticed it and we talked. Did the board make any decisions or anything that needs to be communicated to the public?
I think other than just our normal, just a self-evaluation and
Yeah.
Q&A, just
And
kind of a
strat
normal
plan.
thing.
And the CASB stuff.
Yeah.
I would really like the presentation to go back out to the public. You guys worked
Board
hard.
meeting change,
I'm sorry.
the board meeting date change.
And the date change, which I asked Heather, yes. And Heather, you've got a note of that, correct? Perfect. And is there anybody that we need to thank with written note or anything to follow up on that way? We're good? Good, cool. Okay, with that being said, I call this meeting adjourned at 7:20 PM.